Got my eyes straight ahead, got my head in the game. With the red light on, I'm just waiting for the change. Keep my head down low.
Hello, Jay Fallon. Obviously, this is the slippery slope. So I've been talking quite a bit recently about a lot of government issues and specifically police issues around the nation, what's been occurring, and some of the things that I think are just very wrong with our systems going on. What I find especially egregious is the lack of accountability within government agencies, within our police services across the nation, which is why I've been talking so much. There's so many stories coming around about the lack of accountability, showing the lack of accountability. And to me, it seems like our government agencies, our officials, our bureaucrats, our politicians, our police commissioners, they don't want to be held accountable. They don't want to be able to hold people working within their areas, hold them accountable, and it all comes back to not wanting to face the truth, not wanting to know truth. A couple of weeks ago, I had the privilege of talking at sharing at a little church in Townsville, and I was talking about that topic. What is truth? Specifically, what the conversation between Pilate and Jesus in coming out of John 18. The dialogue there cuts to the heart of what it means. I'll read what part of what I was talking about. The dialogue between Jesus and Pilate in John 18 from 37 to 40 cuts to the heart of what it means to seek and respond to truth. Pilate's question, "Are you a king then?" Jesus answers with, "You say rightly that I am a king. For this cause I was born, and for this cause I've come into the world, that I should bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice." Pilate follows up with, "What is truth?" The problem for Pilate was that he knew the truth. He knew Jesus was innocent and that he was only there because of envy. Matthew 27 in 18, verse 18, it says, "For he knew that they had handed him over because of envy." It's talking about Pilate and Jesus. So Pilate knew that they had only handed Jesus over to him out of envy. His wife had warned him, "Hey, have nothing to do with this innocent man. I've had these bad dreams about him." Pilate knew he was innocent. That's why he comes out and he tries to get him set free. I think Pilate's trying to justify everything in his mind. He's trying to marry it all up so he can make sense of it all. He's talking to Jesus about truth, and yet he knows that Jesus is standing before him because of a lie. He's been accused of certain things, and Pilate knows the truth that Jesus is only there because of the envy of the people, because they want to kill him even though he is not guilty. So as the narrative unfolds, Pilate presents Jesus to the crowd. He's offering to release him in accordance with their Passover custom. However, the people choose Barabbas. Barabbas was a known criminal. They choose him over Jesus, highlighting how easily truth gets cast aside when it challenges our comfort or confronts our expectations. So the passage reminds us that that truth, as revealed by Jesus, is not always embraced by the majority. And just because it's not embraced by the majority doesn't mean that it's not truth. And standing for truth, can quite often come at a cost. It invites us to consider our own openness to truth and whether we are willing to hear and follow the voice of Christ, even when it runs counter to popular opinion. So the problem with truth, and this is what it says in the Bible too, the problem or the issue, I suppose is a better way of putting it. It's not a problem, but the problem that people have, in the world that people have with it, the issue they have with truth is that it shines a light in darkness. It shines a light on the dark things that we're trying to hide in our lives. The religious rulers at that time, they're standing before Pilate, and he was asking them to allow him to free Jesus. because he knew Jesus was only there because of their envy. But they choose Barabbas, they choose sin, they choose darkness, they cast the truth aside because he made them Jesus, who was the truth. He's the way, the truth, the life. Jesus made them uncomfortable because he was shining a light into the things in their lives that they didn't want to acknowledge. He was shining his words and life of truth into their hearts, and they wanted to hide in the darkness because they preferred it. And it says this in John 3. It says from verse 19, it says, "And this is the condemnation, that the light has come into the world, and men loved darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone practicing evil hates the light and does not come to the light, lest his deeds should be exposed. But he who does the truth comes to the light, that his deeds may be clearly seen, that they have been done in God." So this was the issue for those rulers at that time. They didn't want their deeds exposed. They didn't want to have to confront the truth about their own lives and the sin in their lives. They didn't want to confront the truth that this Jesus was actually God, that he was the Messiah that had been spoken about. They didn't want to acknowledge the truth. They wanted to hide it, bury it away. So I believe that right now we're living in this time, as described in Romans 1, we're under judgment. I believe firmly that Australia is under God's judgment, as described in Romans 1, because our leadership, our governments all around, whether it's state or federal, they would rather live in sinful desire, supporting sinful desire, supporting lies, live in a lie. They do not acknowledge truth. They don't want to know the truth. They ignore the truth. They would rather worship the created, not even would rather worship the created. They flat out ignore the creator, deny the creator, and worship the created. And because of this, because of their constant denial of God and their acceptance and love of sinful, abhorrent behavior, we've been given over to a debased and reprobate mind. And that's where I think we are, because we are a nation full of leaders who cannot and will not accept the truth. They don't want to accept the truth because, as it says in John 3, the light has come into the world, truth has come into the world, but they love darkness. They love the lies, they love the darkness, they love the practices that support their own sinful behavior. So they don't want to acknowledge the truth because they practice evil and they hate the light and they don't want their deeds to be exposed. So that's where I think we're at the moment, unfortunately, in Australia. Listen, as a Christian, all I can say is I believe, as it says in Second Chronicles, where it's I know this is talking specifically to Israel here, but it says that if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. Even even though I don't believe I don't believe we're going to see another time where Australia is going to be completely turned around and the whole nation will come to Christ and everything will go back to some better time, some better time. I do believe that we as Christians need to humble ourselves. We need to pray. We need to seek the face of God. We need to pray for our politicians and our bureaucrats and pray that they will turn from their wicked ways and intercede, pray for our nation and ask God to heal our land. And God's got his timetable. God's got things set out where we're going. I believe we're very close to the tribulation period, in my opinion. But I still believe we are called to humble ourselves. We're called to pray for our land. We're called to seek God's face and ask forgiveness and ask that He would still heal our land and bring as many people to Christ as we can, talking about God and preaching the word. Anyway, that's my opinion. Let me know what you think, how you see things going in Australia or in your country, wherever you are at the moment. I don't think I'm going to put this on YouTube. I'm just going to have this up on Spotify and Apple and the podcasts. Probably just be audio. But thanks for listening. Thanks for your support. Let me know what you think about all this. My name is Jay Fallon, and thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
They just fuel a desire that will take me high.